Hello and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, and this is another exciting, well, we'll see, but it could be exciting episode of Streaming Idiots. Streaming Idiots is intended to show you what not to do. Pretty much, this is not how you do it. That's the intent of this show. Do not do what I do. And that means don't try things that aren't supposed to be tried yet. For example, today's show is using the new vMix 17 beta. And as a result, we may see some anomalies that we wouldn't normally see because it's a beta. And you're not supposed to use betas for production. That's the deal. Don't use betas for production. Let me do it. Let me do it. But I couldn't help it. vMix 17 came out this past Monday would have been a week. I was actually on a family trip and so didn't get to play with it to any extent until this week. And there's nothing like, being on a family trip and having had a new toy arrive at home and you're torn between enjoying the trip and wanting to go home and try out the new toy. It's not really a toy. It's a tool, right? It's a tool. Well, there's been some interesting changes and improvements and new features made or put into vMix 17. And today we're going to talk about 3 of them. We're going to talk about the NDI. We're counting the number of times that people use NDI in a broadcast or in a day. So now NDI, we're up to 3 NDI, that makes 4. But we'll talk about NDI, we'll talk about PTZ cameras, and the ability for vMix to control the PTZ from within vMix, and that is to control the pan, tilt, and zoom functions from within vMix and to use presets. I think that's really cool. Now, NDI is definitely the big deal, no doubt about that. But the PTZ cam, I think for folks that use PTCs, it's going to be a really good feature. And then the web browser feature, where you can actually bring a web browser into vMix and operate it inside vMix. So that's fun, and we'll talk about that too. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Where to start? There's just so much stuff to start with. Before I forget, Friday, this coming Friday, that'll be April 1st, I'm going to be a guest on the Tech Down Under show. So if you're a fan of Tech Down Under, tune in this week for sure, and you'll get to see me live. And we're reporting in the chat room that we're getting some audio glicks. So yeah, that's probably because our CPU use is a little high. Working on an old i7 second generation quad-core CPU, the 2600K. It's overclocked, but I suspect with the additional overhead of NDI that we may have to retire this processor because we're getting some audio blips here in the live feed and possibly in the recording too. Let's talk about NDI, the camera. That's where we're going to start. So I actually have a gigabit network that I've purchased and I have on hand, but I haven't installed it yet. So today I'm running NDI through my 100 megabit network, which is what most people have if they have a network device that they've had for more than a couple of years. And so I wasn't sure what to expect. I took my Asus ROG laptop, the big beefy gaming laptop, and I hooked up a Canon Vixia, just a common Canon Vixia HFR 100, the old one I bought off of eBay for $100, and that goes into the to a Blackmagic mini converter. Yeah, that's the name of it. That converts HDMI to SDI, and then SDI into the the Magwell SDI USB 3 dongle, and that goes into the laptop. So lots of different little connections there to get the camera into the laptop. Not because I had to, but because I just thought it would be fun to play with a bunch of extra stuff. And then the laptop is plugged in, hardwired into the 100 megabit network. And I was monitoring networking just a second ago, because networking is now going to become the new CPU concern. Right now my network is running at about 12.5%, but earlier it was running well over 50%. So we'll see. Let's bring in the camera from the. Oh, the other thing is that this the laptop is running vMix, the basic version, so that's the SD version. So this is not going to be a very good picture. I can't run two licensed versions simultaneously. So this is a picture of across the street. You can see a brick wall. You can see some plants and flowers. And earlier the wind was blowing, so it showed. This is actually shot through a window screen. So this is actually what the shot looks like in the camera. But you can see the path there, the Canon Vixia to the Magwell, to the Blackmagic, to the Asus, to Windows 17 Basic, and the camera in Windows Basic is 640 by 360 on the 100 megabit LAN, and then into my PC here, and then to cast to you. Let's pull in a shot of vMix, and let me show you what the interface looks like. So we add an input, and here we've got the oh, let me do one more thing on this one. Let's make sure that that's set up to sharpen in case there's any text in there. All right, so we're going to add an input, and the input's going to be the new one. It used to be called desktop capture. Now it's NDI/desktop capture. And now NDI is going to find all the resources that I have. And in this case, it is the laptop, and there are 5 things that it can identify. It can identify the display in vMix, and it also has another one entitled vMix, and then has vMix output, and then a desktop capture, which just happens to be the vMix desktop capture as an open window, and then the camera input itself. So this one is the camera input, this one is the output from vMix, which just happen to be one and the same. So we'll X out of that. While we were looking at that, let's switch back to that shot just a second, and I'm watching the local area connection network utilization. It stays pretty stable between 8 and 12%, so it doesn't appear to make a lot of difference. Now, again, this is a still. It's not a still shot. This is a live shot, but there's just no action in the live shot because the wind's not blowing like it was earlier when I set it up. If we get lucky, we might see something move at some point, but I don't see anything. So we'll leave that shot. But it was very easy to set up. The only things that I had to do on my laptop were to go into vMix, into the settings portion, and let me show you what I did there. Let's go back to that shot there. So I'm going to go into settings, and there is a new setting here called, well, it's external output /NDI, and then in the bottom of this I have an option to tell these are the outputs that I want available to other PCs on NDI. And one of them is anything I'm recording, anything external, or anything that's an output. That's one selection. The second selection is external 2. So I've got the 4K version, so I'd have the external 2 option. And then the third option is any cameras or audio inputs. And then the fourth option is any audio outputs. So I've got lots of different things I can play with in NDI. It's going to be fun to explore those as time goes on. And this is actually in the settings menu in the top right hand corner. And then you would add an input in the bottom left hand corner. That would be NDI/desktop capture. So if you want to make your vMix available to other NDIs, you'll go into settings and use external output NDI, and that means other PCs can now see your PC. And if you're pulling in something into your vMix, then you would go to add input NDI/desktop capture, and it would give you the available captures there. And Martin is saying in chat that if I was using the NDI Connect from Newtek, then I could have captured it directly in HD and not used vMix SD. That's a question. And Martin, I thought about that too, but the trick was to be able to somehow display the camera image in the laptop, because that's what it's looking for. It's looking for video that it can pick up, I believe. But we'll play some more with that as time goes on. It will be an interesting adventure as we go through. Welcome, Jerry. Glad you're here. Oh, and I see Kevin's here too. Welcome. Got it. Let's see. Let's talk about the web browser. I'm going to save PTZ Control for the end. But let's talk about web browser. Web browser is really pretty cool. This is what our chat today looks like in web browser. And you can see that it is the chat wing window. And with all the, I don't think I cropped this one at all. Position, nope, all the crops are 0. The only thing I did with this, and let's go back and I'll show you. I added an input, and the input was web browser down here in the bottom left corner. And then I typed in a URL, in this case chatwing/tvbguide.com. That's the URL. And then I changed the width because I wanted the chat room to only take up half of the width of the screen. So I went from 1920 to 960. I left the height at 1080. Let's leave it at 1920, and I'll just show you what it looks like here. It brings up, it'll take a second, there we go. And I'm going to cut straight to this so you can see it. This is what it brings up. And I can actually go into this with my mouse and make it go full screen. And I can scroll it. And I don't know if I can can I do text? I don't guess I can put text in there. Nope, it's not taking any text. But that's okay. So I can actually control this window. This is actually the browser page. You can tell because we're not logged in the top right-hand corner. So that's really pretty cool. And that's what the page looks like when you pop it up at first. So let's go back there. And we'll take another look at this window. Add input, web browser, and then it's just simply as easy as putting in the URL. Did I spell that right? easternshorebroadcasting.com. Let's see. I haven't tried this one yet, so we'll see what happens to it. There it is right there. And we can actually go into it and we can scroll it. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in the program or output window. And what happens if we go into our own show? Is that going to be a problem? Uh-oh. It says, sorry, the live stream is off right now. Well, I hope that's not the case. Let's go back to home there. That's interesting. So we'll have to play with this some more as time goes on. Yep, there's our shopping channel. Hey, look at that. So we could actually go into the shopping part and find out about some of the webcams that we've got. That's pretty neat. So I'm actually operating what you're seeing on the screen. I'm operating it as if it were a browser. I can even add one to my cart. There you go. How about that? That's pretty cool. So we'll leave that alone. My guess is that you can get really wrapped up into the browser part of it. My other guess is that it's going to be a nice little way for me to do things like show the chat, and for you to do things like bring in a video from YouTube, to bring in an image from Google Images or Bing Images or something like that, in order to instead of copying it, downloading it to your hard drive, and then using it as an input in vMix, you can just simply go to the page and display it that way. It'll be a lot quicker, especially if you have to do something on the fly. My guess is it's going to be a lot easier to do something like that on the fly, if it was. So that's the web browser. It's going to be a lot of fun to think of all the different possible uses of it, and I think it's pretty cool. I think part of it was to be used by gamers, but not being a gamer, I don't understand how that was going to be beneficial. Let's see. Let's move on to the PTZ part. As excited as I was about NDI when I first heard about it, I'm becoming more excited about the PTZ Control capabilities, because I think for folks that have PTZ cameras or are thinking about getting PTZ cameras, or are thinking about getting a system and they're on the bubble as to what kind of cameras to get, this is going to make PTZs a whole lot easier to manage. In the past with a PTZ, you had to have a separate controller and separate cabling from that controller to the cameras. What I've got here, and let me just pop over to it, this is my default shot for my PTZ. It's set up across the room on top of a bookshelf and looking down on me, and it is connected to my PC by Ethernet cable, Cat5. And it is connected, it's connected to my network. That's what it is. It's not connected to the PC, it's connected to the network, and the PC is also connected to the network. So I'm looking at my network utilization here. Still, it's in that 8 to 12%, and still CPU is in that 85 to 90, that danger range. So if you hear any audio anomalies, that's coming from actually overdriving the processor. But with the PTZ Control, I can set up presets, and let me just take a quick shot here. This is my desktop. In the far top left corner, you see the preview window, And then in the top right-hand corner, you see the output. And so the output is going to go to infinity because it's a shot of 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 itself. Down in the bottom, you see 2, 4, 5 different inputs. And you can see my cursor coming across to go below input number, well, actually it's input 13, but it's the first one on this page. And it is yellow because this particular window is in preview right now. The green input down here in the bottom right is green because it's the output right now. I'm going to click on this first, this first blue one right here in order to send it to preview, and when I do, it's going to actually adjust the shot. So all I want to do is click it, send it to preview, and it's programmed, not very difficultly. It was really pretty simple. You know, it had to be simple if I could do it. It was programmed to go to this shot. It will also, if I click on this third input right here, it will go to this shot. And so, pow, I'm into that shot right now. That's probably too close, I understand. And then the third of the 3 options I have right here is the full camera shot. Now, all of this happens when I put it in preview. If I cut straight to one of these, and I'm going to cut straight to the close-up, it's going to take that as a command to go ahead and do the close-up. So if I cut back to the wide shot, it'll go back to the wide shot. And I'm going to go ahead and cut back to the camera shot. And you can see I've got, this is actually the main camera. This is the camera, this one right here on the far left. Of the 3 in blue, this would be the one furthest to the left. This is the camera. And then the other inputs, 36, 37, and 38, are inputs that were developed from the original camera shot. Let me show you how I did that. In the original camera shot, the settings button in the bottom right-hand corner, and it's only green because I'm on the green level here. In yours, it may be red or gray or some other color. I'm going to click the settings button, and then I'm going to click the PTZ tab on the left. And this is new. The PTZ tab is new. And you can see here that I've got all sorts of new stuff, but I've got the familiar camera view down below. But top left-hand corner, device type, is a drop-down. Well, let's tell you what. Let's just open a new input. And we're going to go to, in this case, we're going to go to stream, because this is our, can we pick up 2 streams at the same time? Let's see if we can. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we're picking up a second stream, and we have to tell it what device type do we want. Well, in this case, it's a PTZ Optics Visca UDP. So we'll do that. What's the address? Here's the address right there. And we're going to connect to it. Can we connect? Yeah, we can connect. So we're connected to it. Now we can control it. You see the control pad here for left, right, up, down, and then the zoom pad here. So we can pan to the right. We can pan to the left. We can zoom in. And we can come over here and we can create a preset. So we've now created a preset. Input number 41 is a preset from this input. And in order to not cause anything to explode, I'm actually going to close those out because I've duplicated a camera and I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen for there. But so this is the first one that I set up. It's already connected, and I'm going to make a new shot. And there's a little tassel there in the top. Let's see if we can't just zoom in on that tassel. And that'll be our new shot. And it's just a matter of clicking the buttons. It is very intuitive. Oops, wrong way. There we go. And so I'm going to create this as a new input. This is going to be input 40. And let's see, let's go back to, we'll put this desktop capture. Whoa, that was crazy. Let's don't do that. All right, so this is what I'm calling the desktop shot. We'll go back and click on the tassel shot, and it will zoom right in on the tassel, and it will focus. What I haven't checked yet is to see whether or not it will allow you to turn off the focus and have manual focus for different elements. And from a PTZ standpoint, you're going to have an optional shot to go to before you go to this shot, because it doesn't zoom and pan very smoothly. I think you can slow that down a little bit, but you can see it kind of dips all over the place, and it may not be exactly as smooth as you would want for a camera shot during live production. But it's there, and it works, and it's really pretty cool. And so I think for folks that have two cameras, or have a PTZ and another camera, or have two PTZ cams, you're going to be able to juggle them and get the equivalent of 6 shots, maybe 10 shots with these cameras. But again, you're going to have to really be polished and realize that you can't change the camera that you're on. The shot that is the if that shot's already on your other camera, you're going to have to go to another camera, set that shot up, and then come back to it. That's the drawback to it. But I think it will provide a lot of flexibility. Now, again, I am connected over IP, so you will have to have an IP connection. I think, I haven't confirmed it yet, but I think if you have your cameras already connected and you have a Visca setup of some kind, you can plug straight into the PC on a serial port. Again, it may take, you may have to add a serial port to your PC in order to do that. But you'll be able to basically control it from the PC and not have to control it from a separate controller. Now, to my knowledge, there is no, well, I haven't checked it yet. I've got a remote control here. I say that. Yep, here it is. And let's see if we can program a position by the remote control and then get vMix to save it. So we are going to go to, we'll go to this shot, and we're going to tell the camera to, let's take the zoom off a little bit. We're going to zoom out, and let's go, yeah, see if we can't zoom in a little bit on the light fixture here in the studio, and see if we can make this our new shot. Now, let's go ahead and put the desktop capture up so you can see, and I'm going to go into settings over here in my camera, and I'm going to say create an input at this position. So it creates number 41, and I'm going to go to my desktop shot, and then we'll go back to number 41, and bingo, there it is. So yes, we can use a separate controller to set the shot, to get it set where we and then use vMix to capture the preset. The The only thing that we would have to check on would be the focus, to set up a shot that, for example, if that the shot that we had just a second ago of the pendant hanging down, it focused on that pendant, but if we wanted it to focus in the background, we were going to have to do some other trick like turn off the autofocus and manually focus on the background. Now, whether vMix will do that or not, I don't know. And I'll play with that. I'll have more information for you on that as time goes on. We're about out of time. I hate that. But the vMix 17 offering looks really good. I mean, obviously the big gun is going to be the NDI because there are going to be so many possibilities with NDI. But if you're in an environment where you don't have a second PC or, any kind of device attached to the network that has a camera on it, or anything that you want to capture and bring into your production PC, then NDI may not offer a whole lot. I know that George Price with the Pendleton Gazette has put out a YouTube video where he brought in a Skype caller on a second PC. So obviously that can be done, and I think that was part of the beauty of NDI to begin with, is so that Newtek could do that kind of stuff as well with their talk show platform. So NDI, it's like any other tool in your toolbox. If you have this great mechanical planer, that's wonderful with planing wood, but if you don't need to plane any wood, then you've got a tool you can't use. But that's okay because you might be able to use it in the future. And if you don't have a PTZ camera, then the PTZ controller is not going to be of any benefit to you either. The web browser is going to be a lot of fun. I think a lot of folks will get a lot of use out of it. But so far as I can tell in my first kind of run through on vMix 17, that we're kind of hitting what I would call advanced level features, because you're going to have PTZ cam, which are $2,000, or another PC with a camera attached to it to be able to take advantage of that kind of, or PC with an image of some kind, maybe like Skype or something like that. So there'll be cases where it can be useful to you. Now, other things that have been added into vMix, they've improved the audio mixer look. It looks more professional, I think, and I think there's some more features in that. We'll explore those on next week's show. They've also changed the color levels and made that a little easier to work with, so that's kind of nice too. But for the most part, it's the same solid piece of software it was. Things haven't changed around. They're not in new places, so you don't have to relearn the software in order to take advantage of it, even if you want to just upgrade vMix 17. Now, let's talk upgrades for a second. I know we're over time. If you purchased your vMix license or upgraded it within the last 12 months, you can upgrade to vMix 17, and it will be a licensed version for you. If it's been, did I say 7 months? 12 months. If it's been more than 12 months since you have upgraded, then you're going to need to buy an upgrade. But the good news is, regardless of what edition you have, whether it's a basic SD down at the bottom or the Pro version, Pro edition up at the very top, the upgrade, well, I guess basic SD is free, so you don't have to pay for that one. But let's say basic HD, which is the $60 package, or the $1,200 Pro package, it's going to be a $60 upgrade for that. Heck, if you're going to upgrade the SD for $60, the HD, basic HD, you may as well upgrade to basic SD for $150. Anyway, I'm getting confused now with all my Ds. It's NDI as part of that. It's blame it on NDI. Blame it on NDI. So next week we'll dig into NDI and to vMix 17 beta some more. It's going to be a lot of fun. This coming Friday, I'm going to be on Tech Down Under. Oh, by the way, this is really just a giant infomercial for my studio, Eastern Shore Broadcasting. where we do remote live video production. We custom build PCs for folks that are in the streaming business, and that we market through our online store lots of products like Magwell capture cards, the vMix software, of course, and vMix upgrades too, for that matter. And PTZ optics webcams, the PTZ cam. So a lot of the things that we've used today on this show, obviously, were things that you can get for us. The release date, and thank you, John, for asking that. The release date for vMix is scheduled for NAB, which is the second or third week in April. So they've still obviously got a few more little bugs to squish out here and there. And I would bet even when they release it, that once it gets out into the wild and to the general population, that folks will find, some little quirks here or there that need to be cleaned up in the code. But I don't think, knowing the way vMix 16 was, vMix 16 had a lot of updates at first after it was released. And then the updates, slowed down quite a bit. So I also had communication with Martin Sinclair, the developer of vMix, and vMix 17 is going to be their offering for at least 6 months. So we don't expect to see a vMix 18 on the horizon. What is this? This is March, so let's don't look for a vMix 18 by next fall. It may be Christmas or after. And of course, the real question is, what do you do next? What do you do next? I think that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, by the way, watch us on YouTube. Yeah, if you're just tuning in late to the show live, we'll have it up on YouTube later. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you got to this point in the broadcast, you may as well subscribe, because I can't imagine wanting to watch all the way through without subscribing and knowing about all the other cool stuff we've got coming up. I'm Tom Sinclair. I'm definitely a streaming idiot. Hope you are too. And we'll see you next week. Be good.